For this project, we'll create an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper at 300 ppi that we'll send to a print service, and in the process we're going to create a shape of Abraham Lincoln, flow the text of the Gettysburg Address inside that shape, add the background image, change the sky, and add the title text at the top. In creating this project, we'll use two images that come from Wikimedia Commons, so go ahead and download those and then bring them into Photoshop. In Photoshop, I'm going to hide the Gettysburg Canon image and focus just on the Abraham Lincoln picture at this point. We want to turn this image of Lincoln into a shape, and we could of course use the pen tool and begin to outline the shape. This would be a good image to practice on with the pen tool. However, I'm going to show you can also still use that select subject and create a shape. So go backwards in my history. I'm going to go to the select menu and choose select subject. And we'll see why people like Matt Kloskowski say that the pen tool is no longer as valuable as it once was, because we now have this incredible artificial intelligence that does a pretty good job of selecting the subject in our image. This is going to be just a silhouette, so I don't need a lot of detail here. What I'm going to do with that selection now made is go to the Paths menu and say Make Working Path. That's going to come from our selection. We'll do the tolerance at 2.0. And now we have our path, much as if we'd done it with the pen tool. And we can go to the Edit menu and choose Define Custom Shape. And I'll just name this one Lincoln. I'm going to go ahead and hide that out of the way. Let's go to the File menu and create New. We're going to go to Print. We want a letter that's going to be Portrait, 8.5 by 11 inches, 300 ppi. I'm going to leave it as RGB color. We're going to change that later to CMYK. We'll have a white background. Just simply say Create. And again, I'm going to stretch my window a little bit so I can see the pasteboard area. We're going to start by going to our Custom Shape tool. Let's find that Lincoln shape. I'm going to hold down the Shift key, and I'll draw that shape. I'm going to fill it with black, and we'll move it over to place. In my browser, I'm going to go to Wikipedia and search for the Gettysburg Address. And we'll scroll down a little bit, and then we'll find the actual text of the Gettysburg Address. I'm going to copy through that. I want the attribution to Abraham Lincoln there as well. I'm just going to copy that, and then we'll go back over to Photoshop. Let's take our Type tool. I'm going to come into the area inside the Lincoln silhouette. Notice my Type tool icon shows the Type tool but with a circle encompassing that. That means I'm going to paste inside of this path. I can click anywhere in here. By the way, before I do that, let's set our text to, we're going to start with 12 point. I'm going to choose Cambria as my font, bold, 12 point. I want to set the text color to white. And let's make sure that our leading is set to auto. And there's no tracking. So if there's tracking, turn that down to 0. So then inside the silhouette, I can click anywhere. And I'm going to get the lorem ipsum text to start with. You notice how it's following the path. All I'm going to do is say do a Control V to paste, or Command V on the Mac. And there's our text of the Gettysburg Address. Now I'm going to get rid of this blank line in both spots. And it's a little bit big, so I'm just simply going to select all of it. So I'm going to come back up to my options bar, and let's use that scrubby slider on the size. We'll bring it down to 11 points too small. So let's go inside the box, I'm going to type 11.5. So looking at this, there's a couple things I don't like. It's really close to the edge on the sleeve over here on the right hand side, and really close to the edge on the left-hand side. I always want to have a little bit of a margin there. So I'm going to select the text layer, go to the direct selection tool and click on the path, and now I can see those pinpoints. And I'm simply going to begin to reshape this. I'm going to bring this text in on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, kind of do the same thing. Just bring this in a little bit. That to me looks much better. I'm going to go back to my text tool. One thing I don't like is the word "this" as an orphan on its own line. So I'm going to bring this text up and we'll put a space. And I realize it's the start of a new paragraph, but that's okay. I'd rather have these flow together than to have that single word on a line by itself. That's looking much better to me. We've got a little more room here away from the margin. You could even go in a little bit more if you wanted. The word "the" is a little bit tight there, so I might even bring that in just a little bit, force that down to the next line. So you can manipulate that as you see best. I'm just going to click on my background to deselect. Next I want to do is bring in the Canon image. So I'll go to the window menu, find my Canon JPEG, bring it down to the bottom left. I'm going to grab that background, hold down the Shift key, and drag it to my document. Then I'll take the Move tool and move the whole thing down a little bit. If I want, I could scale it. Position it. I'm going to press the Enter key to accept that. Now I want to change the sky out. Remember, our document ends here. So if I do a sky replacement, it's going to end at that line going across the top of this layer that has content. So all I'm going to do is take the eyedropper tool, select part of the sky. Actually, it's pretty close to a white. But then I'm going to take the paint bucket. I'm going to click on the top portion above my image on this layer. If you watch the thumbnail, you're going to see the little checkerboard transparent area go away when I click. So now we have that sky extending up. Let's go to the Edit menu, Sky Replacement. I'll let it do its magic. And I don't really like that sky very much. I want something a little more dramatic. So let's scroll down to Spectacular. And I want this stormy sky. Sort of the gathering clouds on the battlefield. I like that. I'm going to bring the brightness up just a little bit and bring the temperature down. I'll click OK. Now I notice again my silhouette of Lincoln has a little blue outline. So I'll go to the, oops, I'm going to select that layer, go to Paths. Actually, I can come over to the Appearance. Let's give it a black outline, or we can do no outline. I'm going to do no outline. Actually, I'm going to do black, because that will give us a little bit more of an edge, assuming it's on the outside, to our silhouette. Go back to layers. Now I want to take that layer of Lincoln and let's bring the transparency down. I want this to just be kind of just a very light to medium gray that we can see through, see the content behind. It's sort of that ghost image of Lincoln looking over the battlefield of Gettysburg. We can still see our text pretty well. Next, we're going to add in our title. I'll take the type tool, get a much larger font. I'm going to start with 48. And I want to center this. It's going to be white. Welcome to, and then I want Gettysburg in all uppercase. I'm going to make that a larger type. Let's try 72 just to start with. Probably go a little bit bigger than that. I think about 80 points, pretty good. Although we're going to tighten this up a little bit. It's actually going to go, let's go 85, and we're going to tighten the tracking. So let's go to the tracking, and let's bring this up to say a minus 25. You can go a little bit more. Minus 50 looks good. And I'm going to do 90 point for my type. I misspelled welcome. Let's go welcome to. Let's bring this tracking up just a little bit, maybe minus 25. This is pretty large. I do want to change the leading here. I want to bring these two closer together. So I just chose 72. That actually looks pretty good. Might go a little bit more. Let's try 76. All right. Going to move that into place where I want it. And I do want to add a layer style here of a drop shadow. Want my angle to be about 120 degrees. Just a slight distance. It's to be kind of subtle, but just to help outline that a little bit more. And I'll say OK. So there's our image. If we send this to a professional printer, they will be able to do a full bleed of this image on 8.5 by 11 cardstock or paper, whatever we choose. But when we send it to a professional printer, they're going to want this in a CMYK format because they'll likely do color separation. So they print the cyan, the yellow, the magenta, and the black as separate presses of our document. And so we need to go to the image menu. I'm going to go to mode. I'm going to change this to a CMYK color. That's going to flatten this. So before I do that, I'm going to cancel. I want to make sure I save this. So let's go File, Save As. I'm going to save it as a PSD file, so I can always come back and make changes. FO3 Gettysburg. Put my name in parentheses. And I'll save. Now I'm going to go to the image menu, go to Mode, change to CMYK color. I do want to flatten. And say OK. And then we want to save this as a TIFF. So I'm going to go Save As. You can do Save a Copy. I want to make this a TIFF, a tagged image file format. That's what a lot of printers, professional printers, want to use. And we'll click Save. So I'm going to choose No Compression. Pixel order will be interleaved. And since we already flattened this, there is no layer compression. I'm just going to click OK. And that's our Gettysburg poster. If you'd like to see more videos in the Photoshop Practicum playlist, click the title at the bottom. If you'd like to be alerted to new videos, please click my photo in the top right to subscribe to the channel.